And Michael's going to talk more about some of the speaker considerations, so how to work with executives. So Michael, take it away.
For our event for Costco that we do, we work with a variety of different speakers. We have our executives from Costco, 2 university presidents, and then we also have students. So when you're thinking about your speaker considerations, the 2 big things that you want to think about is the role that they're fulfilling and then their comfort level about how they are speaking on camera. So knowing that we had such a diverse group of people who we'd be working with, we made the decision to pre-record everything in order to make sure that everyone was at their best comfort level, but also that we would have the best production that we could put forward. So looking at our students who are probably the most uncomfortable speaking on camera, some with no speaking experience, we made the decision to pre-record their sections ahead of time. So we pulled them in, allowed them to give their speech, do it multiple takes so that we can edit it together to where they felt confident and also happy with their own remarks when we were putting that online. Pre-recording your remarks is a really good strategy to do, especially if you're thinking about a speaker series. If you have a speaker that is going to be repeating the same thing over multiple events, it is great to bring them in, have them record that once, and then you have that footage available for the rest of your events. As Ariel brought up, it's really important to think about your live engagement that you have with your audience. We went in knowing that we were going to tell everyone this was a pre-recorded event. I highly recommend pre-recording your event a lot closer to the event so that your speaker can bring in current events, your dollar amount you raised, or directly reference what's going on with the event or why you moved virtual. But we knew going in that we wanted to kind of have that pre-recording kind of packaged up. Then we thought about our executives who are much more comfortable in front of an audience, but still are a little awkward on camera. So what we did for them is we brought in a teleprompter for them so that we could have that behind the camera. We knew that we wanted to make sure that there was this direct engagement with the audience through the camera, but also making sure that they weren't directly reading from their computer screen and going line from line. The one thing that we all know is that virtual events are not the same as in-person events. So having printed notes down on a table where you're looking down and not really engaging just isn't going to work. So those were some of the bigger considerations that we did for our speakers. One of the other interaction that we had for our event that we did with TPN is we had 2 of our university presidents speaking to one another back and forth, and they're very close friends. We took that footage of them speaking to one another and edited it down to a concise conversation between the 2 of them, getting those key points that we wanted to bring out, but also bringing a different element of banter to our virtual event. We knew what the interaction that they would have with one another, and we built a system around them in order to make it effective for our virtual event. The other things that we kind of took into place when we're thinking about our speakers is their own environment and that they're presenting from. One of them would be presenting from their office, which they had great Wi-Fi or great internet connection, much better lighting that we could set up for them. And then we had one of our other university presidents who was presenting from their home office where they didn't have the best Wi-Fi or the best lighting. And so we made sure to prep ahead of time and see what we could do in order to make sure that we had everything available to them so that they would have the best lighting and the best camera. And then the last thing to always think about your speakers is if they're not comfortable jumping into a live environment, is to rehearse with them ahead of time. Even if it's going into a private Zoom and then just having them in front of the camera so they can practice, or even recording that Zoom and providing that back to them later on so that they can use that, is a really good tool of getting them comfortable and used to speaking on camera so they can see what interaction they're delivering and that they can also feel confident in their remarks.
Thank you, Michael. I think that's great. For speaker prep, there's the usual piece that you would do if it was a regular event. Then there's the technical piece, but there's still the coaching piece that you have to do. How did you find, or what were just some ways that worked really well to do that piece virtually as well?
With our students, we set up a time ahead of time so that we could work with them directly and slowly. We used the teleprompters and we pre-recorded everything for them. So even when they were actually recording their remarks, we did this remotely as well. We had our Zoom going on in the room with them, and that was not the feed that was being recorded, so that we could talk to them and walk them through the process and kind of get them to get confident in their words, but also not get too nervous about talking to a camera with no one else around. So one, it was just scheduling that with them ahead of time. For our executives who are much more comfortable speaking, the prep that we do ahead of time is we create a briefing document that really outlines everything that they're going to do. And we also let them know where they're going to be speaking in the program, to where they might not know what the final edited version is, but they have an understanding of where their remarks are coming so that they can build that in and kind of create that live environment, even though that they're not actually there.